Alrighty, here we are, we're back. Welcome to my YouTube channel once again. Before I say much and make you click away, let me show you what we're going to be creating. Yeah, that's some awesome gunfires and a little bit of a backstory. So this video is from an old short film that I made sometime I think in 2020. And I know some of you may ask, why would you need to use a CGI gun when you can just have like a prop gun? Well, question is, why not? Thing is, when we were doing this short film, we didn't have any prop guns, and all I knew was I wanted to create guns shooting, and I figured, hey, why not just try and use a stick and make that into a CGI gun? I didn't know whether it was going to work or not, but I was confident, to know that it will work, because anything is possible if you are a little bit experienced like me. If you're like a little bit experienced, so yeah, great. So we just didn't do this for guns. We did this for also, there was this scene where it sort of loses the game that we're doing, because you lose the bet, then you have to pay your friend money. So he gets upset and gets this, I don't know if this is really a bazooka or whatever, and then he just fires it. So we use the same method, a stick, lifting it up, and as much as this may not be the right way to do it, but again, there are many ways to do one thing which would give you, if not similar results or close to what you would get if you did it any other way or different ways. And I know that the right way to do this would be like tracking it in 3D and like having points and stuff, so it can have great depth and perspective. But if you're not moving much, there's not much to worry about. So yeah, that said, let's jump in and let me show you how I did this. Okay, so I have this footage of this guy holding a stick, which you already saw, and I'm going to track this in mocha. So I'm just going to apply mocha and open it. It doesn't really matter if you use mocha pro or mocha AE, they're all going to give you the same result. So in my case, I'm going to like draw a mask. I'm going to include a bit of the stick, and instead of like tracking the stick, I'm going to also include a bit of his hands. Reason why is because halfway there's a lot of motion blur on the stick, and it just gave me a hard time tracking the stick. And I figured since the hands are not really moving much and it's just there holding them, they were the best thing to track. And I also checked perspective and started tracking. So you can see how the motion blur just kicks in, and if I only added the stick and not the hands, it was just confusing the track and making it not lose what it is doing, and having so many points just confuses it. So just going to go in and track forward all the way to the end of the video, and if somehow the points lose the track that you gave it before, just make sure that you set a keyframe by clicking the plus sign on the keyframe key thingy, and start adjusting the points to make sure that they go exactly where they're supposed to go. And if it gives you an error message while it's you track, make sure that you click the manual track and then just keep adjusting your track, and then it will just keep on tracking forward. Once you're done, just close it and save it and go back to After Effects. In After Effects, create an object and go to tracking data and just click create track data. Go to export options and change it to transform, and then layer, change it to the no object, and then click apply. So all the track data is going to be applied to the no object. So now if you want to test how tracked this is, just create anything to show you how tracked the footage is. In my case, we're going to use a solid. I'm also going to highlight the keyframes by clicking new and then just untick the scale, since I don't want this to scale in anyway. I'm going to create a solid and I'll just create a simple shape, and I'm going to parent the solid to the null. And if I play through, you can see it's tracking, but halfway through the video it loses the rotation, and there's a very quick fix if that happens. So what you're going to want to do is just reduce the opacity, then change the anchor point to the end of the solid so that it can rotate nicely. When you rotate it, click on the null object, then just start going through frame by frame and see the parts where the rotation gets messed up and just correct that. You can do this also for the position and the rotation. So just click the rotation and try to align the solid to match the rotation of the gun or of the stick, and then just try to go frame by frame. Do that for the position and for the rotation until you're done. Once you're done, everything will just work. And if you turn on motion blur, it will also work, since if you track anything in Mocha and you turn on motion blur, it just applies the motion blur that the original video has or had. We're now going to rename the no object to gun track so that it doesn't confuse us, and then going to duplicate the video, and I'm going to call it hand rotor. I'm going to rotor the part of the hand so that we can erase the stick. So we're going to start by creating a selection for the front right fist as well as the other parts of the hand, so that we can only rotor those out and not have the stick included. Once we do that, you can either go frame by frame or you can just hit play, and just like we do any masking, if the rotor line or selection goes off from where you selected it, just make sure that you include it. If it includes parts that you don't want, just click Alt and remove those parts. Once you're done with the rotor, just click on freeze and it will bake every thing that you have done, and it won't have to calculate every time that you are playing through. So now if you solo that, you can see that it just shows you the fists and the hands and not the stick. You can increase a bit of the feather and reduce shutter, and you can turn on motion blur and decontaminate edge colors so that it blends in better. Next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to erase the stick and like create a clean plate in the place where the stick is so that it can just erase it completely. Since I didn't get a clean plate for this, I would have to like go frame by frame and just try to find areas where the stick was but isn't, and then you can either use like a clone stamp tool, or if you've got like Photoshop, I don't know, Photoshop that has got like the best generative view. I don't know if it's 2020 or 2021 version, but yeah, whatever works for you, you can do that. So I'm just going to go in and create patches for where the background is, so I can use those to mask out where the stick is supposed to be, so that it only looks like it's the background that's there. And since we have the hand rotored, if I put the hand on top, it will just look like the stick is erased since the hand is rotored, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go through by duplicating the background, and then I'm just going to find areas that the stick isn't there, and then just use those and create patches so that when the stick goes in front, it will just be blocked and it will look like it's just the background only in front. Once everything is done, it will look like it's just holding his fists up and doesn't have any gun. And you may wonder what the purpose for the gun was, or for the stick was, rather than just him having to hold his fists up so that it can be easier not to paint out the stick. But it was just there like so that it actually holds something, and two, so that we get a reference for the rotation and also for the lighting, just so that it can be helpful. I'm going to jump inside of Cinema 4D, and I have a gun 3D model. I don't really remember where I got this gun 3D model. It's really been long. I just kept it and I just found it, but I'm sure it was from Sketchfab, and I'm confident it was from Sketchfab, but I don't really remember where I got it from. I may have to try to look or double check where I got it. The good thing about this gun model is it has got this side trigger thingy, slide trigger thing. I don't know if it's what it's called, but yeah, meaning you can animate it and it can look like it's, you know, just shooting or firing. So this is what we're going to animate, to just kind of go in and out to make it look like it's, you know, firing, and it just adds that extra pushback effect which makes it look like it's actually firing. So other thing that I have is I've got a sky, which is just a sky, and then I've got a light, which is a specular light, which I'm just calling a specular light, which I've just placed by the side, which is just creating some highlights. And if I preview this, by the way, I'm using Redshift. If I just preview this, you can see just the sky, the light that is producing. I just have a simple HDRI, which is from the old content browser. And if I just turn the background on and off, you can see the sky that I'm using, the HDRI that I'm using. And then if I turn on the light, which I've just put on the top right, you can see it's giving the highlights, because in the footage, if you see, the highlights are sort of coming from the top left and then from our right view, but from his view is the top left. So if I just put that sky, if I just put that light, you can see it's giving that highlight, which is just making it somehow match the footage that we're having, or the video that we're having. So now, to animate this side trigger thingy, you know, just have to create like a few keyframes. Firstly, we have to change the anchor point to move it to the end of the trigger, so that it can, I don't know if it's called a trigger or whatever, but that's the name that's in the, you know, it's a trigger. I'm sure gun experts right now are looking at me like, what are you doing, dude? Can't you research? Like, aren't you old enough to go on Google and research what is simple thinking? Yeah, I'm not a gun expert. I wasn't born handling guns. And we're going to create a keyframe in the X position, and we're going to move the keyframe. We're going to move forward, and then we're just going to slide it backwards, and we're going to set another keyframe, and then we're going to move forward in the timeline, and we're just going to slide it backwards in the first position. So now if we play that through, you can see it's just firing, and it just goes back to the original position. I'm going to change the length of the timeline to like 15 frames, since we don't need a lot of frames. So you can see if you just play this, it just kind of looks like it's firing, and it looks very bad, but you know, whatever. Okay. And if you just render this out, since there isn't much, just a simple light and HDRI, we render out the 15 frames and we bring it inside of After Effects. You can see how it looks. So it's somehow in the position of where it's holding the gun. So if we try to move it and kind of try to place it where his hands are and put it below the rotor layer, it kind of looks like that. Now there's that thumb which doesn't look really good, which we have to just get rid of, since it's not supposed to really be there. And if we try to place the gun to make it look like he's really holding it, we can equip or parent the gun to the object, and if we play through, it kind of looks like it's firing. And again, the perspective kind of doesn't shift, it just stays sort of flat, but it can happen a little bit too quick that it can also be hard to notice, you know. So yeah, now what I'm going to do is we rendered only 15 frames, so we're going to have to freeze frame it when it's not firing and bring it back when it's firing again. So we're going to reuse the same clip over and over. So what we're going to do is we're going to freeze it at the end of the video, so we know at the end that's the last frame. So we're going to right click and then just freeze frame, or yeah, we just like freeze it or freeze on last frame. So what's going to happen is, you know, it stops firing, and then when we see that it has to fire again, we're going to trim it. We're going to duplicate the video and bring it back again to where the freeze frame ended. which will make it look like it's, firing. And then we're also going to make it a bit faster, since we don't want it to look exactly the same. So you can just go to time stretch and give it a faster value. And then in the end, we can also just like freeze it so that it doesn't cut again. So you can see in the beginning, he has no gun, and then it just pops. I'm also going to right click on the first video and just stretch it so that it can shoot a little bit faster. So what we're going to do is we're going to want to fill the beginning frame so that the gun doesn't just pop out of nowhere. So we can do that by duplicating the gun and then just freezing it and extending the frames. So what will happen now is it will appear like he's holding the gun for the entire frame and then just firing. Okay, so that's the first step achieved. It looks really bad, but we've like achieved the first step. So what we can do now is we can add like a Gaussian blur to the guns so that we can just kind of match the blur with the background so that it's not just too sharp. So we can give it the blur of like 1 pixel, or we can put it to like 0.7 and then just like match it properly. We can also copy this blur to the rest of the frozen guns and the rest of the moving guns. You can see the areas that are not perfect, but it's working. So now if we turn on motion blur, you can see the gun just looks, it follows the motion blur from the no objects that we had before. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to create a no object which I'm going to call gun control. So I'm going to use this to scale all the gun layers that are duplicated so that I don't have to scale like each layer like one by one. I'm going to parent the gun track node to this gun control node so that whenever I scale this, everything just scales down exactly the way I want it. But before you do this, just make sure that you put it also either at the middle so that everything scales up from the middle and not from the side. It might end up missing the precision that you had before. So now if you just parent the gun track node to the gun control, if you scale it down, it will just scale everything down at the same time, and you won't have to worry about scaling each layer down or positioning each layer down. So you can set keyframes for the gun control node so that at any part that the gun doesn't seem to be in the right place, you can just use those position keyframes to put it in the right place. Make sure that you don't set too many keyframes, because if you set too many keyframes, it just like ends up looking bad, since it's already parented to like a no. So it has its own movements already. So if you put in too many movements, it will end up looking like it has so much going on. Alright, so quick question before we proceed. Has any of you ever experienced time travel? Of course, we've seen it in movies and like everywhere and whatnot, but has any of you like experienced time travel? Trust me, it can get a little bit drowsy and it can get messy real quick. Well, let's do a bit of time traveling. Let's see what the future holds for us. So brace yourselves, and nobody should puke in their seats. Oh, remember, we're here to see what the future holds for us. So let's be careful not to get too carried away or do something that we might regret in our present time. So beside us, these two doors hold the secrets to what's going to be in the future or what we should be expecting. So door number 1 or door number 2, which one should we start with? So this is what we're seeing. I don't want to give you any dates because I might ruin everything. So we're having this. So this is what we are expecting in the future. I don't know, this could be tomorrow or next week, or I don't know, next year or a few days to come. Well, who knows? I mean, do you guys see this? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, even I didn't know that this was meant to happen in the future. Like, I didn't know. So we're going to see all these. Oh my God, you really should be subscribed, because wait a minute, what am I doing? Wait a minute, what am I doing? What am I saying? What am I doing? TMI, guys, I'm not supposed to tell you all this. This is the future. Remember, I got too carried away. I was not supposed to show you all this. Now I'm going to mess everything up. I don't know what's going to happen when I go back to our present time. Things might not be the way they are. You know the rules of time travel. You don't review anything. You don't review too much. Why did I even... You know what? Let's go back to our present time and see if things are intact, if things are the way they were supposed to be, or if they are the way they were before. We might discover that everything has changed. We could not even be talking about the tutorial that we're talking about if we'll be lucky to find the tutorial that we were learning. So I'm going back. Okay, see you. Okay, here we are. We're back. Seems... Wait a minute. That's not the gun he was holding. Things don't seem to be... Everything else seems to be okay, but the gun, this is not... You know what? I'm going to fix this. Just stay where you are. Don't panic. It's me who's... I don't want to... You know what? Let me fix this. What the hell? What the hell? Okay. What the hell? What is this? Come on. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Hell no. I don't even know what that is. Let me see. Okay. Seems like it's okay. It's cool. I mean, same guy, same gun, same environment. Are we still having After Effects? Yeah, we are. That's good. It would have been bad if we found ourselves using Nuke. I mean, that would be crazy, right? I mean, nobody here even uses Nuke. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to go back inside of Cinema 4D. We're going to create two lights. One light is going to be sort of an inner light, which will be like coming from inside of the gun, which will mimic the muzzle flash or the fire that is coming from the inside. And then the other light is going to be an overall light, which is going to light up the gun. So we're going to create a light. We're going to add a fall off, and we're going to make it orange so that it can appear orange. Then we need a reflective material with nothing but just black, so that we can have like glow and a little bit of some reflection of the light. So for the inner gun, for the inner light, if we preview it, we're going to see that it's just giving us that inner light. And then for the second light, we're going to also make it orange. And for this light, we're going to push it a little bit on the left. And to get proper reflections, we're going to create a sky object with an HDRI. Also, it can be anything that looks a bit similar with what we had, or it can be the same HDRI. So let's put it in the sky. And if we preview this together with the light, it gives us some speculars. And of course, the light is shining in the places where the gun is supposed to shine when there's muzzle flashes. So we are kind of like faking this, with two lights. So we're going to start with the first light, which is the overall glow, and we're going to do the same that the thing that we did. We're going to render just a few frames, which is the same 15 frames. So next thing is we're going to open up Crazy Bump. I know some of you it may have been a long time since you saw this program, but it still exists and it's still good. So Crazy Bump is a program, for those of you who don't know it, that creates 3D. It creates different textures from one image. So it creates bump maps for you, displacement maps, it creates occlusion maps, and normal maps. So yeah, from an image. And there are many apps out there that do this, and there are now free AI tools that also do this now. But if you can't have this, just look out for some AI tools that can do this. You can also look at Materialize. It's free, I think. It does this also. It's good. It provides extra maps, so you can try it out. But first, we're going to be using Crazy Bump. So we're going to use our still image of our guy holding the gun, and we're going to create some maps out of it. So the idea is we want to create sort of this fake interaction of light from a plane. So we're going to put the same background image on a 2D plane, and we're going to sort of want to fake the lighting to make it look like it's kind of a bit three-dimensional. It won't be that detailed or that intense. It will be very subtle, but it won't be as just creating a solid color and masking orange colors on top. It will be a little bit better. So create create a material, put that background image, and put it on your plane. Make sure to set it to frontal so that it projects correctly, so that it's not scaled down or anything. And your resolution of the texture, just set it to no scaling so that it can show you the original quality. Right now, with a normal map, that's kind of how it looks like. If we create a light and try to kind of add it, it will be creating this sort of fake illumination, which will be looking like there is some fake depth. So it will be kind of showing you like sort of fake shadows, and it will be looking like kind of how it thinks should look like if there was depth. Like I said, there are many AI apps right now that are doing this better than this. I just thought I should show you that, this can work as well. And this can work also with like a displacement map. Same thing. So you can just like change the light, the color of your light, and if you try to bring it closer, you can see how it sort of makes this fake illumination. And these are the areas that we kind of want to light up when we have those flashes of light when it's firing the gun. Once you render that image together with the one that we made for the gun, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the layer of the gun at this frame, and we're going to grab the glow of the gun and just replace it. So that is kind of how it looks like. So that is the glow that we made from the light. So if we start playing with different blending modes, you can see how it's leaving out those specular highlights. And also, if you figure out the blending mode that you like, you can also like brighten up the image with the levels. Just make it intense, and if you play it, you can see it's kind of creating this flash of light, and you might want to crank it up even a bit so you can see if when it's firing it kind of looks like it's light, because of those specular highlights. And there was really a light, even though I placed it in a different direction, but it still works. Okay, it looks like there's a flash of light, and this is better than just having to guess with solids and draw parts that might not even look accurate. Next thing is bring in the glow, the overall glow of the one that we made in QuasiBump. So play with different blending modes like classic color dodge or overlay or color dodge or soft light, whatever that works or that looks good for the footage that you have, because each footage might be different. So once you find the blending mode that you like, in my case, I found that add just worked okay, but you might change later, and trim it to start where you want, where the firing is starting, and just sort of kind of try to mask out the areas that you want to have that glow. And again, blending mode, change it to what you think works well. So if we play this, the glow of the gun together with the glow of the body of him, it kind of looks like this. It's flashing, and it looks like it's being kind of illuminated a little bit. And I think it can be a little bit more intense than that. I made it really subtle because I was scared to ruin it, but you can make it as intense as you can. Also, you can duplicate it. You can duplicate the layer. You can set it to normal and align it by moving the position, and just make sure that it aligns with the original image. And you can change the blending mode to what you think is also matching, and you can mask out the parts of the areas of the hands, and maybe even some other parts, and you can see the flashing just looks awesome. You can also include the areas of the hat and the face so that it can just look nice as it glows. Now I've got these muzzle flashes, which are from a very, 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 very old pack called Action Essentials 2. I believe most of you VFX artists who started from like 2015 or 2014 or 2013 or 2011 below going there, we've all heard of this pack. I mean, it would be surprising if you're a VFX artist and you've never heard of Action Essentials 2, unless you are just starting like, I don't know, 2 years ago or a year ago, then it will be hard for you to hear about it. But for those of you who have been like odd, you know that this pack has existed for many years. So I'm going to bring in all of the muzzle flashes from Action Essentials, and I'm going to align them. I'm going to align the first one where I think it's going to match well. And remember, muzzle flashes only lasts for a second, so don't have to last for 2 seconds. The smoke, on the other hand, can go for, I don't know, for quite a few seconds, but the muzzle flash, only for a few seconds. So align it to where you want it to start, and make sure that it matches with the glow of the gun and him firing, and that everything should match. And also try to move like frame by frame to see if it's lasting for over 2 seconds. Trim it to only, so that it only appears for a second. And you can see there's a glowing point below, which kind of looks like that's the origin of the muzzle flash, and we're putting it at the wrong place. So we're supposed to get that and just align it to the tip of the where the muzzle flash is supposed to be coming from, and get the anchor point and put it right on that origin, and just carry it down so that it can look like it's coming from that area. But again, muzzle flashes are really big, so don't make yours to look like a joke. If you want to know more about muzzle flashes, you can go to Corridor Digital or Corridor Crew. They talk a lot about muzzle flashes and how realistic they're supposed to look like. So I'm just here showing you how to make CGI guns and not muzzle flashes. So yeah, anyway, you get the idea. So now what's left to do is to start trying to align the glow of the character, the glow of the gun, and the muzzle flash, to just like blend them to appear for a frame only, and also just try to match everything to look like they are happening at the same time. Also, it kind of feels like the glow is too orange, so we're going to get a hue and saturation, and we're going to just change it a little bit so that instead of being too orange, it can be on the yellowish brighter side. And also we can trim out the edge of the glow that is proceeding or protruding. No, not protruding. That is exceeding to even like over the hands. Now, what we want to do is we want to make the smoke to be a little bit intense, because right now you can see the smoke is barely visible. So what we can do is we can do it by keyframing the levels, so we can have it where it is when the muzzle flash fires, and as we go a few frames further, we can just make it intense. So start it after the muzzle flash is gone, so that you don't affect the muzzle flash, because if you do it before, you're going to make it more bright and it will look very bad. So now you can see the smoke is a little bit visible, and that's kind of how it looks like. But right now, what's bugging me, like everything else looks okay. What's bugging me is before the muzzle flash, we can see that there isn't an origin for where the fire is coming from. So this is where the light that we rendered that is supposed to come from inside of the gun, this is where it comes in. But first, before we add that layer, let's just add some hue and saturation so that we also make it a little bit hotter. We can add some glows to it, just duplicate the glows, change the colors, and whenever you add glow to a layer and it sort of messes up like in this case it messes up the smoke because of the glow, you can also keyframe the glows, since we don't want it to appear where the muzzle flash is. So you can do that by double clicking, by control clicking on the effects, and when you go below, you can go on the compositing options and click on the effects opacity and create a keyframe for both of the glows, and just make sure that you set it to 0 once the muzzle flash is gone after that flash. So before the muzzle flash, it will be 100. After the muzzle flash, it will be 0, meaning the glows won't have effect on the smoke, and it won't make the smoke look bad. So if it fires, the glow is glowing and the smoke is okay. You get it. So next, we can see as it fires, some part of his shoulder is missing. That is because when I was doing the roto, I kind of didn't include that area going like past the frames where I rotoed. Like I didn't roto enough frames, so at some point it's just cutting out and revealing the cut out version where the background is sort of eating into the shoulder. So we're just going to roto that extra part of the shoulder which we didn't. So now it's going to last for all the frames, and you can also add that glow layer on top of or the rotated shoulder. So we're going to bring in that layer of glow, and you can replace it by holding down Alt and putting it on top of that layer. Then we just replace it. So you can change the blending mode and start playing with the levels, UI saturation, and make sure that you turn on motion blur so that it looks right. So we are going to bring in the second muzzle flash, turn it on, and the second muzzle flash kind of has this fiery spark origin, and that's kind of only the thing that I want. So I'm going to mask out the muzzle flash and only leave that sort of fiery sparky look. And then for the main muzzle flash, I'm going to use the second one, which doesn't have those kind of sparks. So it's just looking nice that it has that kind of origin of the sparks where they're coming from. So we're going to use that to just look like it's fire shooting out, and then it sort of grows out as fire, as a flash of fire. So without that, it will look like it's not connected to the gun. But once we add it, then it will look just nice. We can also mask it so that it only appears to be coming from the inside of the gun. And another thing that we need to add is some glow on the hands. So for that one, we're going to use the old method, which is just duplicating the layer, which is the main layer, and adding your levels, brighten it up, and giving it some reds, also some greens, and we can change the blending mode to classic color dodge, and you can play with the brightness levels so it can give you what you want. And you can mask just the area of the hand since we already have those other glows. You can feather it, and also make sure that this only lasts for a frame, so you can see the nails and the fists have been also kind of fake illuminated by the fake light. So trim that layer to only one frame when the muzzle flash starts, and when it finishes, you know the drill, make it one frame, just trim it off. So now you can see that some part of the hands is also being lit, like the nails, and it looks good. It's only lasting for a few seconds, so that's kind of how it looks like when it's firing. Awesome. Yeah, this guy looks really badass. So now what we're going to do is next is we're going to pre-compose all the layers. In here, there's nothing much to do except try to add some color correction and also some fake camera shake. So by doing that, we can just add a position keyframe, then move forward, add another keyframe. So we're adding position keyframes at the point where it's firing. You don't really need to add camera shake since it's just a gun firing, but it makes a huge difference when you're doing such stuff to have a little bit of camera shake. It adds an impact that you may not even see if you're just watching. So if you're just watching the video, you may not even know that there's camera shake because you're only focusing on the gun, but it just ends up looking a little bit powerful, and then you don't know why it's looking powerful. So select both of your keyframes, highlight them, go to Wiggler. If you don't see the Wiggler, just go to Windows, then just choose Wiggler, and just choose the magnitude and the frequency that you want. Make sure that you don't make it too intense, but you can play with the values and find the one that works for you. And just with this subtle camera shake, you can see how different it looks. And if you are getting any cut black edges, just apply a motion tile to your video and make sure that you check output width and height, and then it will just mirror the edges and it won't show you those black edges. And this works well with the camera shake isn't too intense. If it's too intense, it tends to look repeated. Yeah, so camera shake is the last thing. Then you can try to apply your favorite color preset or color correction that you like. If you have good magic bullet looks, you can apply that. You can apply some chromatic aberration. You can apply some noise. And I was focusing more about just showing you how I made the gun effect. So if you want a tutorial about compositing or deep compositing or whatever, well, just let me know. Leave a comment below telling me you need a tutorial about deep compositing. I'm thinking of making one, and I'm planning on making it very interesting. So yeah. So after completing the gun, I was happy with what I made. But what I wasn't sure about is how a gun works. Like I said, I'm not a gun specialist. Yeah, I mean, each one of us has got a role to play. So if you're a gun specialist, you know how it's supposed to work like, right? So I'm just showing you these techniques in case you have the right gun that behaves like that or that works in that way. So if the gun that I'm having doesn't work that way, then, well, I'm showing you the technique so that if you have the right gun, you know exactly how to do it. So I added this shell flying off. Again, I'm not even sure if this is where the shell flies off. I've never fired a gun before. I mean, why would I? Why should I? So yeah, I just got this shell flipping from the same Action Essentials pack, and I applied some levels, boosted it up, and I tried to match it to the color of the gun as closely as I can. So I tried to apply some light trap, also a tint so that it's not too saturated, since our footage isn't too saturated. Then I just tried to give it like some time stretch so that it can move a little bit too fast, since it's not supposed to move like slow-mo and all that. I just scaled it down, and my aim is to animate it come from the middle of the gun to fly off to the side, or his side. So to do that, very easy. There are many tutorials that show this, and I'm showing you again how you can do that. So just place it right there, set a position, scale and rotation keyframe, move forward, and just animate it to go off screen. Then on the middle keyframe, you can set like a curve, so that it sort of goes in a curve rather than just going really linear, straight line. So we can make it go in a curve, and you can play with the timing of the speed, how it's rotating and flipping. In my case, like I told you, I don't know much about guns, so yeah, I'm just going to show you what I did. If I turn motion blur for that and kind of play through, that's kind of how it looks like. It looks very bad. Yep. So you might want to play with the curve of how it's moving and the speed. So if it's too fast, you can put keyframes together. If it's too slow, again, look for references online or on YouTube of people firing real pistols or real guns. I don't even know if real pistols fire out shells. Do they like fire? Again, not a gun expert, so don't look at me like. Now, to create that sort of opening thingy inside, what I did was I duplicated the gun layer, and I created a mask right on the middle where I think it's supposed to open, and I keyframed the mask to just come on the middle when the bullet starts shooting out, and then when it's not shooting out, it should go on the side. So it will look like it's opening and closing. And since this gun is a duplicate, below is an actual gun, so meaning if the mask moves, it won't look like it's moving. So then what you need to do is you need to get some part of the inside of the gun, which since it has got proper black shades, don't just create like a solid, or you can make a solid and sample those areas so that you get the right black shades, and then just get that layer and put it in between the one that you have masked and the original gun layer, so it will look like it has a hole inside. And now if we play this through, it looks even more janky because of that opening. I'm not sure why I added it there, but anyway, you get the idea, and you have watched this despite it being terrible, so jokes on you. So by any means, again, if you enjoyed the tutorial, please give it a like. It really helps a lot. If you like, YouTube is going to recommend more of my content to you if you like, and as well as to other artists out there who are looking for the same visual effects in the same topics or area. And yeah, so thank you for staying to the end. If you watched to the end, thank you so much, congratulations, and I'll see you next time. Also, don't forget about the spoilers that I gave you from the future, which are videos which you were not supposed to know, but you saw them anyway. So be sure to be on the lookout to see a lot of videos that will be coming out in the future. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. God bless and never stop learning.